Welcome to this episode of Preeminence Rising. Preeminence Rising is brought to you by the House of Preeminence. It is a conscious media platform, magazine, educational platform. You will not find any celebrity gossip in there or crass media panic news. You will find only wisdom, tips, tools, techniques, and the most gorgeous high vibrational wisdom to uplift you if you are a woman who wants to thrive in your highest life. So calling all change makers, light workers, uprisers, feminine rebels, stay-at-home mums, all of those women who feel this yearning in your heart to get together with your sisters and do something about the mess the world's in and create your best life at the same time. As usual, on these Wednesdays, I am joined by three of my Preeminent Posse from the magazine, each one an expert leader in their own right. I'm going to introduce them. What we're going to be talking about today is a topic on everybody's mind, is how to transcend the chaos to create your best year ever, because right now, as we slide to the end of 2021 and we look at the flotsam and jetsam of the mess behind us in this year, nevertheless, we will still want to be fixing new goals and forging new visions and reaching to grow into our highest life. So, as usual, these conversations are completely spontaneous. We never know quite what's going to happen. Which is part of the fun, but I know that we are going to make it worth your while. That I can guarantee you. So joining me today, other side, is Dawn Bates, aka Ms. Mermaid, a global nomad, leadership expert, multiple best-selling author, and seriously serial publisher. Human rights activist, humanist, philanthropist, philosopher, one of those, and giggler extraordinaire. Down below to under her, we have Gina Lazenby from Yorkshire. Dawn is in Colombia. Gina Lazenby is in Yorkshire. She is our resident healthy home expert and feng shui expert. She is a master at everything to do with creating our homes as a foundation for abundance. She has had decades of experience in this, as do all of my posse and all of my ladies. And so welcome to you, Gina, today. And Alison Stillman, who is an aromatic alchemist, which means that she is a transformational coach, change maker, using plant botanicals to help them create their highest life and create breakthroughs. And you are in Tennessee. So we are multinational. We're going to dive straight in with this topic, because what I want to be able to give to our listeners and watchers today is some really juicy, meaty, non-meaty, non-vegan, vegan takeaways on how we really lift our spirits and we have the courage to go after our finest lives. Now, the House of Preeminence is a magazine that is dedicated to that whole topic, because each expert in the magazine, each woman we showcase, the women that we support, is a woman who is committed to her highest life, her highest calling. So I am going to go round the table. So I'm going to go to Dawn straight away, the other way. And what's it looking like for you in Colombia as you look forward to your next year, Ms. Mermaid? Oh, need to unmute your mic.
I need to unmute myself there, don't I? I just wanted to double check that the reception is okay, because it was a bit fragmented. You're a bit like Dave Clark in a techno tune. So I wasn't quite sure if it's my end or whether it's your end there. But here in Colombia, we're in Latin America, so we're always on the brink of whether something is going to unfold, protest, etc. So there's a lot of chaos here. Let me just. It's really interesting here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, cool, okay. But yeah, so things are always chaotic in Latin America. But the sun is shining. There's an ocean right by me. I'm always giggling and dancing. I have chosen my word for the year because it was my birthday on Monday. And every year I choose a word that will ground me for the rest of the year. So yeah, it's all good. Birthday celebrations. Did my first.
Do you want to share your word of the year?
My word of the year, I think Alison's going to really resonate with this one, is receive. Because I've been giving so much giving, but this year I'm opening up to receiving a lot more. So that's my word for the year.
Okay. So why don't anybody who's listening to this, it's a really beautiful practice to choose a word of the year. To make this as your theme. It is powerful. It kind of comes into you as a in a cellular way and a vibrational way and an energetic way. So why don't you note down what your particular word of the year might be, as Dawn's is receive. Okay, Gina, what's it looking like in Yorkshire?
Well, green, rain and beautiful hillsides and nature. I was thinking personally, how about my year ahead? And I think I'm so interested in global politics and what's going on in the world, that it is so crazy and it's changed so much. I don't think I can keep up. I used to be really interested in so many of world affairs and business trends, and it seems it's changing so fast that I can't keep up. Okay, back again now. Okay, yeah. So what I'm feeling is that's going to really support me is to continue this quest for simplifying my life. What can I jettison? What can I get? What's really important, and really take my intention inwards and to home. So looking more at my garden, looking more about what I'm growing, how I can have a more sustainable life. So enriching the area that's around me, closer to me, and being more and more interested in it. Not that I wasn't interested in it before, but there's a magnification local to me, and I've got less interest in what's happening out there. I'm still interested in what's happening out in the world, but I'm kind of pulling back and magnifying what's closer to me because I can handle it better. And I feel the closer I am to nature, which is one of the reasons I moved to Yorkshire, I'm in tune with the cycles, and they go on for millennia, and I'm learning about food as medicine. I'm kind of, even though I trained as a cook, I've done haute cuisine, cordon bleu, even macrobiotics. I'm really looking more at how I can take care of myself, my family, by what I eat, by what I grow. So my attention is moving more towards me, and that is really working for me. I can't say everybody has to do that, but the more you are looking out there and the more chaotic it is, then it's much easier to pull your attention into your home and play out the patterns from there. Because from a fractal point of view, how you organize your life, how you do anything is how you do everything. So I'm looking at the way I live more closely. I hope that's helpful. Jenny Pease, mute.
I think so many people can resonate with looking at their values, reevaluating their values, and finding that the simpler things in life are actually the most important. From having so many conversations, people are looking at the fact that suddenly every single day seems like 10 times more precious than it did 2 years ago, and that our bodies and health and well-being are absolutely paramount, as is our environment, as you say, and our home and our routines, because that is all we really have. Everything else comes from there, and that's your topic. So I think it's such a wonderful call to, as you say, to stop looking out there, because it can do your head in. It certainly did me when I started going down all the various possible rabbit holes that were available, to thinking that I was going to try and find out that it would be good to really understand what was going on, and actually being destabilized and demoralized to such an extent that it actually knocks you off your path, especially if you're mission driven or vision driven or heart led or soul led or spiritually connected. We as change makers cannot let ourselves be destabilized by the turmoil. Understanding that it's happening and dipping in occasionally just to get up to speed with what's going on is wise. I prefer other people tell me personally rather than watching it, because it's just too distressing. What matters instead is actually rolling up our freaking sleeves and finding the solutions between women in between organizations from the ground upwards. So this is something I want to say is, even if women feel powerless, even if they just think, well, it's just me. How can I make a change? How can I make a difference? And they haven't got a movement, or they haven't got legacy work, or they're not a TEDx speaker. Is that anybody who starts with themselves? We just start with ourselves and commit to our own radiance, vitality, and highest life, and that will ripple out around us. It will ripple out to our families, to our partners, to our communities, to our animals, to our plants, to our home, to our community, and out to the world. So it really does start with us, and I'm sure Alison is going to agree with me on that one.
Indeed, I agree with everything that's already been said. And it was interesting. I was on a Zoom with two amazing transformational leaders yesterday, and they're both very well known in the world, and authors and teachers. And they were talking about the collective grief that has permeated the planet, and that we are all experiencing, whether we're bringing it into conscious awareness or not. And that's really, really important. I think this is the perfect time of the year to be doing this, to let go of that grief, to acknowledge it, to go into it, to feel it, and to let it go. And one of the best ways to do that is to allow ourselves to cry. And we're taught not to do that. And so allowing yourself to cry is a really good thing. It's okay to cry at the civilization and the world that we have lost, because we're not going to go back to the way life was. We're creating something new now. And so I love the notion of choosing your word. What does that look like for your new year? And if you're in a place where you're not really feeling that word yet, then go into what you're feeling and let some of this grief go. And for me, bathing is a really good way to do that. And I become one with the water and allow the water inside of me, any waters that want to flow out of me, to flow at that time into the water and wash it away, and let it nourish the earth, let it go back to the earth and nourish the earth. Because if we hold water inside of us, if we hold those tears and that grief inside of us, it stagnates and it just gets all musty in there. And so let's just keep it flowing. I think that's a really important thing. And the other thing that came to me while I was listening to you ladies speak is one of my favorite practices to do. I have a lot of them. I have to these days, but one of my favorite things to do is to dance. And so I have a dance playlist that's all my favorite dance tunes from forever. And I've got about 4 hours of a playlist, and I will dance for at least 20 to 30 minutes to bring that joy. And you will notice when you do that, the way you feel when you first start dancing is not going to be the way that you feel at the end of that. And I learned this from a couple of incredible teachers. One, Mother Teresa. I have a really good friend who used to go and work in the orphanages, and her mother used to go work. And she's a very well-known singer-songwriter, and she would send her CDs over with her mom to the orphanage. And Mother Teresa said, if you will dance for 20 minutes a day, you'll always be happy. And she would make the children dance for 20 minutes a day. And there's another teacher, Reverend Michael Beckwith, who is the founder of Agape Church on the West Coast of the United States. And he oftentimes, he'll have bands come and he'll make everybody in the sanctuary get up and dance and then take words in. So let's say your word is joy or your word is abundance. If you dance really, really hard and then you just say the word out loud, it'll go into you. So making space for that to happen by releasing those tears and letting go of grief and letting go of sadness or disappointment or whatever it is, letting it go, acknowledging it and letting it go. You're making space for this joy to come in, for this abundance to come in, to receive it, as Dawn was saying earlier. So I just wanted to share that with everyone because it came in loud and clear.
I really like what you were saying there, Alison, about the moving the water through us, because every night I do my Latin dance fitness. And I'm always dancing when I'm in the kitchen or when I'm walking through the streets. I mean, here in or different towns around Colombia, I'm now known as the singing redhead. And because I'm always got my headphones on and I'm singing and I'm dancing as I walk down the street. And the abundance that's actually brought into my life, and with the smiles and doors being opened and like flowers being given to me by random people, it's been really beautiful. And I do feel that I wanted to touch on this whole thing. When I was celebrating my birthday at the weekend, I went sailing, but I also was snorkeling, and I did my ocean meditation where I'm just lying there in the ocean and just being held by the ocean. And then I went and did my first free dive. So I went down to 2.7 meters on my first free dive, which I was really excited about. But that meditation there, shutting off the rest of the world, that it's just me, the ocean, and the fish down there and all the corals. But I feel like I live in a different world to everybody else. When people talk about this collective grief and all of these, how everyone is, afraid. And I'm just like, I'm kind of not, because I just trust that everything is unfolding as it should be. And because I don't pay attention to it all, I learn what I need to learn for me to go and see all my children to come here. I've learned what I need to learn about the stuff I'm writing about. And I learn about what I need to do to get to the next country. Everything else is just noise that I don't want to pay attention to. And it's not through ignorance, it's through selection of boundaries and honoring my higher self. And yeah, always dancing, always giggling.
Okay, dancing and giggling and singing. That's check. I think it's really important to make this distinction that you made, Alison, of the kind of purifying of the clean slate, because it is so easy for us to drag stuff over from one year to the next if it's not resolved. And grieving is a really good way. It is. I agree. It's incredibly purifying. I've got nothing to grieve about, but nevertheless, grieving for what's happening in humanity is really important as well. So I think that kind of giving ourselves space to have a mini retreat over the festive period, whether it's in the space of a bath with essential oils, or whether it's a day on our own, or a walk in nature, or 2 days meditating, really. In fact, I know that in the next edition of the House of Preeminence. Gina's article is all about hibernation and the importance of hibernation. Don't want you to give too many clues away, but this really is a time to go within now and clear our energy, and don't let that be a far out kind of expression. It means going into this new year and this new paradigm with a lighter heart, with more space, as you both of you mentioned, is giving space to what matters, giving space to dance instead of thinking, well, I'll dance one day when I get to a party, if ever, but to actually start to make space in the day where this is my dance space, or this is my giggling space. Well, it's always giggling space with Dawn. But Gina, talk to us about the power of this this going within, this kind of withdrawal and the hibernation.
Yes, thank you. This is what I wrote about for our January edition. And in the Northern Hemisphere, the new year, the start of a new cycle, coincides with winter. Not in the Southern Hemisphere, because that's hot and sunny, and that's it's halfway through a cycle. So if we focus on the Northern Hemisphere, we think that culturally that in the beginning of the year is the beginning, and yet it's not really. We're still in a cave. We're still, tonight when we, it's dark outside here in England. It is December, and when we finish, I want to close down and read something and have an early night. If it was March or April, I certainly wouldn't be doing that. I'd be thinking about other things. My natural energy is going inwards and thinking, and it's okay to do that. It's okay not to have a massive, strong social life during, these dark winter times. And the temptation on New Year's Eve is to set a couple of resolutions and maybe spend the afternoon or the next day thinking about them, when you could take much longer and be in that cave for a bigger space of time. Everybody's got different roles and jobs and businesses, and the amount of time they can take for themselves is different. But if you can take as much as possible, and what I say is, don't start new things. Don't go January the 1st, I'm going to start. It's not a cycle of starting. There's no natural energy there to lift you up and hold you with something new. It's flat. So it's a perfect time of year to take advantage of, earlier you were talking, Jenny, about looking at your values. And I'm talking about coming closer to home and really thinking, how I do anything is how I do everything. How do I do anything? I know I'm great at starting things and I'm not good at finishing. What am I going to do about that? How am I going to support myself, in making my own life better? So now is the time to think about that for more than a day, more than a week if you can. As much as possible, take retreat time and just don't overschedule your diary, hold back. That's really what I would say about this coming time of year. It's the gift, really. You're nodding, Alison.
Well, I totally agree with you. I love this season for myself because it allows me to do exactly that, to go inside and look at and reflect on the year that I've been through, what I've accomplished, what I've done, and to release anything that no longer serves me, and to make space for new growth to happen in the spring. And also, I like to do a 1-year vision statement around this time of, okay, here's where I've been. This is where I see myself at the end of next year, and start to dream that into my consciousness so that I have a milestone to reach by the end of the year. And I probably won't launch some of the things until the spring, which is the time to plant those seeds for the harvest in the fall. And so I myself have projects that I have waited for winter to come along that are internal. I'm finishing up a book. I'm launching some online courses. I'm putting all that together, and I'm building right now. I'm hibernating. It's all inside of me. I'm not sharing it with anyone. It's all about being internal and doing internal things to allow it to come forth in the new year. And that's part of writing my vision statement. And in New Year's, it's really, I like to do vision quests where I just go, okay, let's really start to see what the new year could possibly bring. And like you said, it's not the time to be planting seeds. If you go out into the snow and plant seeds, they're not going to germinate, right? Nothing's going to grow. So I like to mimic what happens in nature as well. So I value what you were sharing. Thank you, Gina.
I think maybe women especially can, maybe, just a question, relate to this because of our cycles and our connection with moon and the earth. We feel this naturally. We feel this naturally, and kind of we've got out of this in the last kind of 5 years before COVID. We've really kind of fallen away from this natural cycle again, wherever you are in the world, and everything was about drive, hustle and grind, 365 days a year. And it was exhausting. It was a kind of materialistic treadmill, which was carrying us faster and faster and faster. And actually, COVID actually forced us to get off that treadmill. Everybody, and just go, whoa, stop. You know, that this is go inside, just like keep yourself to yourself a bit, and just kind of, and we've been forced to look at the way that we have got out of tune with nature's cycles as a race, as not the indigents, of course, but as you know, Western civilization has got completely out of sync with our natural rhythms, our natural cycles. You know, Christmas has become a buying fest, and all of that sickening stuff. And it is, for me, it is to commit to being back in tune with nature's cycles, even if you live in a city. That will denote the quality of your year. That will actually denote the quality of your year, as you so beautifully put. Alison, you know, you don't go out into the snow and plant seeds, and Gina said the same thing. Is you wait until the energy of the spring is in the sap's rising, and you start waking up earlier, and you go, oh my goodness, I can take on the world right now, and that is the time. So yeah, it really is a wonderful time to step back, to heal. I mean, healing. We all need to heal. We need to heal individually. We need to heal as a human race. We need to heal as a planet, and to remember to be kind to each other. You know, that is another big lesson of this year. Is just like, oh my goodness, we've actually stopped being kind to each other because we're so flipping busy. You know, we don't take the time to speak to our neighbors, or we realize we haven't spoken to our children in 3 months. But it's time to be kind to ourselves, kind to the planet, kind to each other, and come back into tune with those cycles. Because I know that if you use those values as the foundation, you will emerge victorious in whatever your vision might be, whether it's starting a new business, whether it's finishing a book, whether it's bringing your family together for a holiday, whatever it is honoring those cycles and those seasons. It sounds terribly old-fashioned, but you know, that is what we are called to do, is to come back to the old ways, because they are not the old ways anymore. They are the new ways.
I think I'd like to jump in on this, Jenny, because here in Colombia, it's summer all year round. Like we don't have a differentiation. It's just hot and sunny. We've got a few winds. I mean, we've got the winds coming down at the moment, and I can't wait to go sailing. But I also think that what we're talking about when we're saying we're grieving for humanity, I think some of us have been grieving for humanity for a lot longer, because I think it really does depend on when you woke up to what's actually going on in the world and just how big this whole situation is. Because what's happening now is a lot of my friends and my community, we've seen this coming for a very long time. And looking at how we project what's going to happen in the year ahead, are we measuring those by dollars? Like you mentioned, it was all about money before. Are we measuring those by targets or by numbers? Or are we actually measuring it by an experience or a series of experiences that we're going to gain throughout the year? You know, I'm going to have this many clients, or I'm going to have this many dollars in my, but what are you experiencing with those? How is that filling you up? And how is that raising your vibration and radiating out into the world? Because yes, I dance and I sing as I walk through the streets, but an act of kindness is just a smile. It's the ability to make someone smile. And I remember my grandfather used to say to me, if you can make someone smile throughout the day, then it's worth waking up. And I've always carried that through. And I've always said to my children, it doesn't matter how big the size of your wallet is, it matters the size of your heart is. And I think when we're looking at the years ahead, how are we actually defining this? Because we have our birthday years, the days that we arrived. We have the religious holidays and the religious calendars. We have the cultural calendars. What is going on within our own independent cultures, whether it's Northern or Southern Hemisphere, whether we have got the tax year, which is what a lot of people ride on. And I think that and that's if you pay tax. And I think that this all stems into how we master our time, because a lot of people talk about time management and it's like they're managing something, and that has a really heavy energy to it. But if we can master our time and we can master our own vibration by what we're paying attention to, I mean, I'm like Gina, 10 o'clock gets here and I'm in bed with a cup of tea and a book. So my social life, unless you're, I don't really have a social life because I don't want one. Not really, because I partied very hard throughout my late teens, most of my 20s. And I do have friends that I like to go and have a cup of tea with, or like I meet on a Zoom call, because as a nomad, my social life is with you ladies. It's with my friends on social media. Well, LinkedIn. I have kept LinkedIn. But again, it's like understanding what a social life is for us, and where we're actually putting our attention. Because as a writer, I spend a lot of time going within and saying, okay, what is going on in humanity at the moment? What do I want to focus on as humanity? Because what we're seeing now is a direct result of what we've ignored for the last 10, 20, 30, 50, 60, 70, 80 years and beyond. What we have ignored as a human race for decades before and centuries before has now brought it to fruition right here, right now. And everybody's plights that we've ignored and the freedoms that you talk about over the last 2 years, I'm like, well, I've not stopped being outside. I've not stopped traveling. So again, this is why I feel that I don't experience the world in the same way everybody else has, because I have not stopped traveling. I have not, my business has exploded in the best possible way. And I feel disconnected from the reality that everybody else is living, because I don't pay much attention to it, because it's just very negative. And for me, I've been awake for so long that, like I said, we saw it coming. I wasn't surprised in the slightest. I predicted this about 10 years ago, probably even nearly 15 years ago. So it's it's really interesting.
I can understand that as a nomad, as opposed to those of us who are based in houses and towns and cities and communities that are static and stable. I totally get it. It's a very interesting point of view, is how you create your own cycles and your own seasons within that. So let's go quickly back around then. Gina, what is the new year the new year, from whenever the new year is? what does this next phase look like for you?
Well, it looks good. And years ago, when the Healthy Home book came out around the year 2000, the local regional newspaper, Yorkshire Post, wrote an article about the house and me, and they called me the Rational Health Service, which has import, means something in Britain, where we have the National Health Service, and which is really farmer. It's, I don't want to talk down the service because it is amazing, but we know how, healing works in the system that we have. So I'm really engaged. I'm coming back to that conversation, and I can see this now, this desire for, in this new world, in these new ways, self-care, the natural health service, the rational health service, failing systems. I've got to take care of me. And I'm going to take care of me more than I have done. And I've taken care of me, and I'm taking care of mine. And I'm looking at I'm revising on old historical stuff that people have always done. And I'm looking at new stuff. So I'm sitting in the middle there going, what's the best thing for me and mind to live well, that I can control? That's me. So I think that's
beautiful. Alison?
So when I look ahead, which we don't get to see very far ahead anymore, we have to stay very present, which I'm very, very happy to do. But I can feel an energetic of very big expansion. And I think that's why I've been so focused on release work, because I'm accommodating new frequencies. I see a dawning of a beautiful time ahead. And not only for myself, but for the world. I'm not sure on the timing of it all, but I know for me that my frequency has to be as high as possible. And I also feel like I've been being activated from a higher level. And so in order to accommodate those bigger frequencies, I have to get bigger. And so I feel like there's this very big expansion coming, and I can almost see it pouring down from the heavens, for lack of a better way of describing it. And so I'm making space for that. And I'm holding my attention on a very beautiful golden age that is beckoning all of us.
And your last tip with people?
Honor who you are. Honor yourself as a change maker. You're not here by accident. You're here because your soul is calling you to become the biggest expression of who you are. So honor who you are.
Thank you. Dawn, as well as quickly, giggle therapy and...
Yes, just like 20 minutes of giggling every day, whether that's in 10-minute bursts, I do my Latin dance fitness, and honestly, you should see me try and do some of the dance moves. I've always said that white women can't Latin dance, and I am living proof of that. But I giggle throughout the whole 50 minutes and just laugh, find joy, and giggle and dance every single day. Giggle therapy really is a thing. Yeah, get those sexy hips moving, ladies.
Giggle, dance, and sing every single day.
Yeah.
My lasting encouragement to anybody listening is to remember to dream again. We've forgotten how to dream. Even the words dream and dream fulfillment, which 5 years ago were so much the guiding light for people's lives, especially change makers and business leaders, is the word dreams and dream fulfillment and dream achievement have gone completely out. And I would say to you, we are still infinite creators. Whatever is going on out there, we are still infinite creators. We still create our reality. We are all powerful, and even with whatever technology allows, which will whatever new streams open up, the best way that you can come back into your dreams is to find what you love, find what you do best, and find what you value, and do more of those. And those three things which will light up your heart and your endorphins and put you in the frequency that Alison was talking about. They will take you back to your dreams. And what we need, as Norman Thurman said, is what we need is more people to, don't ask what makes you come alive. Just find what comes alive and go do more of that, because what the world needs is more people who've come alive. So give yourself permission to come alive in 2022, or from February or from March, from whatever time that feels like the right time to you is. Give your time to really live and make the best of every single precious day. So thank you, ladies. Thank you, my beautiful posse. You can find these ladies' wisdoms in every single issue of House of Preeminence magazine. Incredible. I just wrote today to my community that every single issue has 10,000 keys to you up-leveling your life, growing, changing, learning, whether it is through the wisdom that these ladies have got, whether it's through style, whether it's through superfoods and recipes, whether it's through fitness, whether it's through relationships, whether it's through money. Everything that you want in your highest life, we have got for you in the House of Preeminence magazine. And we are also taking change makers with us. We are inviting you to come into our community and be supported, so that we are working together. So many exciting things happening in Preeminence Rising this transitional time. So watch this space, and thank you for listening in. If you're watching this as a replay anywhere, give us a hello give us a hello. You know where to find us. I'm just going to pop up the URL. This is the URL to subscribe to the magazine, which is still currently free for a very short space of time. It is absolutely sensational. It's been highly acclaimed, being called the Vogue of Feminine High Performance. There is nothing like it in the world, and there's nothing like my posse. So thank you, and good night, and wishing everybody a beautiful day.